Gen friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues. It is also a Russian platform and it's a collaboration, but Russia now wants Brahmos missiles because they feel that Ukraine is supported hugely by the West. And of course, here I'm trying to tell the world, don't play cricket with Pakistanis. I'm trying to tell BCCI, don't play cricket with Pakistanis. And here we have Indian citizens playing PUBG and Ludo with Pakistani women. Gen friends, I'm Major Gaurav Arya and you're watching the Chanakya Dialogues English. Like this video, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. India is planning to buy 97 drones. 97 of these drones which are locally manufactured, and according to media reports, the cost will be over 10,000 crores. So 10,000 crore rupees, that is 1 point something, I think 1.2, 1.3 billion US dollars will be spent in buying 97 made in India drones. And this is in addition to the 31 Predator drones that India is proposing that they buy from the United States of America. Now, all these drones, the 97 that India is proposing to buy, it is my understanding that these are not armed drones and these are meant for reconnaissance and these are meant for essentially, mapping the place, figuring out enemy movements, etc. All these things. I mean, they are, if I may use the word, non-kinetic, and I'm using the word non-kinetic very loosely here. And those 31 Predator drones, those are hardcore kinetic drones in the sense that, 35, 40, 50,000 feet, you push a button on a laptop and a Hellfire missile takes down a target. So that is the capability of those drones. Now, this 10,000 crore rupees, you might think, why does India need 97 drones? Now, first of all, these drones are made in India under the Make in India program. So what is going to happen is that it is going to rejuvenate the drone industry, which is a fledgling industry in India, but it's going to rejuvenate that industry. So suddenly you have government orders and everybody's making drones. And this is how the industry grows. Without government help is very, very difficult because drones are not things that everyday people use. These kind of drones, it has to be used by the armed forces, or, maybe tomorrow, maybe the DRDO needs such drones, or maybe some other agency needs such drones. So essentially, it is my understanding that 90% of these very large drones, right, are going to be used by government agencies. And my friends, more than 40 of these drones are going to go to the Indian Air Force, which is going to be the major beneficiary of these, 97 drones that India is ordering, these locally made drones. And these are going to be deployed along the line of actual control and the line of control. So to keep an eye from super high altitudes, to keep an eye on our enemies. And this is how you build up an ecosystem. This is going to be a big push, a big boost to the Make in India initiative. In another news, ladies and gentlemen, Russia wants to buy Brahmos cruise missiles from India. Now, Brahmos, the name, as you know, suggests Brahm, which comes from Brahmaputra, and Mosk, which comes from Moskova River. So two rivers, the meeting of two great rivers, the meeting of two great civilizations, and the meeting of two great technology platforms, which is the Brahmos cruise missile. And they say that it is the fastest cruise missile in the world and it's going in for an extended range and more acceleration, more speed, etc. And Mr. Atul Dinkar Rane is the chairman of Brahmos Aerospace, and he sits here in Delhi. And I've had the honor and privilege of meeting him, and he gave a talk also. He gave a talk at the Chanakya Dialogues, which was held on 29th of April this year. So we were honored and privileged to host Mr. Rane, the chairman of Brahmos Aerospace. He's formerly DRDO. And now, you see, it's strange that Russia is asking, and of course, fine. It is also a Russian platform and it's a collaboration, but Russia now wants Brahmos missiles because they feel that Ukraine is supported hugely by the West. And of course, you have these javelins and you have so many of these advanced systems that have enabled the Ukrainians to hold or to push back against Russian forces. And Russia feels that it needs the Brahmos punch. And Russia is now asking India, because they're being manufactured in India, it's asking India that, hey, we need Brahmos. I don't know what the Indian government's reaction to this will be. Honestly, I do not know. I don't know because, while we have a tie-up with the Russians, India has always maintained neutrality. India does not wish to take sides. Giving medicines to Ukrainians is one thing, or giving some sort of diplomatic assistance to both Russia and Ukraine is one thing, but giving active weapons to Russia is another thing. But there are 2 points of view. There are 2 points of view in this. And I will tell you my point of view. Russia has helped us when we needed help the most. When the Americans had sent their 7th fleet, and this is a story that people of my vintage and even older will tell you, that during the 1971 war, the US had sent their aircraft carrier and they had sent their entire fleet to help the Pakistanis. It was the Russians that sent submarines to help us. And since 1947, the Russians have, always helped India. Now, I'm asking, my point of view, there are two things. If you give weapons to the Russians, then this entire game gets unsettled. It's not that if Russia has Brahmos, Ukraine will surrender. No. But then this puts India in a very, very difficult spot. So what should India do? I feel that India should immediately, the answer does not lie in supplying Brahmos or not supplying Brahmos. India should immediately get Zelensky and Putin together. Right? Putin is a great friend. We know Zelensky. Right? And by the way, Zelensky is also a crook. CIA reports say that he has siphoned off hundreds of millions of dollars. I think $300 or $400 million. This guy's bagged. Already, the funds that he was getting to fight the war, this guy's taken away the money. And they're stashed in some foreign offshore accounts and all that. So he has done that. So many Indians tend to look at this as a black and white issue. Russia invades a country, not done. We stand with Ukraine. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. And while I understand that India has a great relationship with the United States of America, I think the US should be the last country to preach. I mean, you have invaded more than a dozen countries or 24 countries around the world, killed thousands of people, displaced millions of people, and then your president, Barack Obama, also gets the Nobel Peace Prize for doing all of that. So take it easy, Americans. I mean, great, we are friends, but the truth is the truth. So what should India do? What I think India should do is maybe take a step back and work hard towards peace. Work very, very hard towards peace. Because if there was a chance that India would give Brahmos and this war would end, I would say give the Brahmos to the Russians, they're our friends. But this war is not, it's just going to lead to more bloodshed. And it will lead to more killing. It will lead to more killing. I'm with the Russians in this. Absolutely with the Russians, they're our friends. But today, if you ask me, and because they stood with us. They stood with us when, the Americans were wanting to attack us. The Russians stood with us. We should always be grateful. We should remember our friends. But as the Prime Minister very rightly said, this is not an era of war. This is an era of peace. And India should pull out all the diplomatic stops. India has been doing much in the background. But I think this is the time when India should pull out all the diplomatic stops and just go for it. Just simply go for it and say that, boss, end this war and we'll do our best to finish off this war. Now, coming back to my good friend, not that I've ever spoken to him, not that I've ever met him, but Fawad Chaudhry, the former technology minister of Pakistan. I don't know what, there are two positions in Pakistan, which I don't know what they do, or three positions. One is the law and justice minister. There is no law, there is no justice in Pakistan. I wonder why they have a law and justice minister. Number two, the defense minister is the most useless man in Pakistan. Right now it's Khwaja Asif, the most useless man in Pakistan. You have the army chief and they don't need a defense minister. He's just there to cut ribbons and receive bouquets and give speeches. That's all the guy does. He has no handle on anything. And the third one is technology minister of Pakistan. Pakistan technology. It's largely an agricultural country and they still use animals to bulls to plow the field. So I don't know which technology Pakistan is talking about. But anyway, so Fawad Chaudhry made a statement to the media and he said, and listen to this video please. Just listen to this video.
हमारा मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी में हमारा एक पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू है. हमारा पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू ये है कि आप इतने पापड़ नहीं बेलने की ज़रूरत. चांद जो है वो नज़र आ जाता है, एग्जैक्टली उसकी लोकेशन पता होती है, ये पता होता है कब उसकी बर्थ हो रही है, किस टेरिटरी में उसका क्या अल्टीट्यूड होगा, एग्जैक्टली पता होता है.
So Fawad Chaudhry says that what is the need to go here? We don't have to do all of that. We don't have to do so much hard work here. It's absolutely useless, what India is doing, going to the moon. We can see the moon from here, standing on Earth. Why do you need to go to the moon to see the moon? Now, you may laugh. You may laugh because you're sensible people and people around the world will laugh. But this is how Pakistan has managed to, for 75 years. This is how Pakistan has lived. This is how just fool their own people that, listen, India is wasting money. Why should we waste our money? India has gone to the moon to look at the moon. But we Pakistanis, we are blessed. We are specially blessed. We can look at the moon standing on the earth. Hats off to you, sir. Hats off to you. So, this is what Pakistanis are doing. And in another news which may interest you, Seema Ghulam Haider, the Pakistani infiltrator who came through Nepal and into India with 4 kids and was living with one gentleman called Sachin Meena. Now, they have been picked up, and I think Sachin's parents also have been picked up by the UP Anti-Terror Squad, the ATS, UP ATS. It has picked them up, and after picking them up, they are questioning them. Now, as soon as UP ATS picks up Seema Ghulam Haider and Sachin, Pakistani High Commission in Delhi immediately says we need consular access. You know, this Seema circus has been going on in the media for the past month at least, or 20-25 days, close to a month. The Pakistanis never asked for consular access. All along, all Pakistani panelists on our television channels have been saying, yes, she's a citizen. We know she's a citizen. So there is no doubt. They're admitting, we're saying it's okay. But why does Pakistan need consular access now? The timing is very surprising. Why would the Pakistanis want consular access right now? Why right now? Why not earlier? They should have asked for consular access immediately. There's this another story of this girl called Ikra who played online Ludo. And I think she was, as early as January, she was in India and then she was sent back or something like that. And this girl, Ikra, 19 years old, she falls in love with a guy called Mulayam Singh Yadav, who is a security guard in Bangalore, all right? And he belongs to Uttar Pradesh and he's around 23, 24, 25, something like that. And she comes again through the Nepal route. She comes through the Nepal route. She goes all the way to Bangalore, down south. And Bangalore is more than 1,000 kilometers away. But she goes all the way to Bangalore from Uttar Pradesh. And in Bangalore, she marries or settles down with this guy, whatever. And then people come to know that she's a Pakistani and she's repatriated or she's sent back or she's thrown out or whatever. The technical term is, I don't know. But, you know, so, and she was playing Ludo. This woman was playing PUBG. But I'd like to say, I think Sachin is also guilty. While he might be under pressure from this woman, I'm not denying that, and I myself believe that he's under pressure. But why would you want, there are so many people across the world there. Why do you want to play Ludo or PUBG with a Pakistani? What's wrong with you? What is in your mind that you're playing Ludo and PUBG with Pakistanis? Here I'm trying to tell the world, don't play cricket with Pakistanis. I'm trying to tell BCCI, don't play cricket with Pakistanis. And here we have Indian citizens playing PUBG and Ludo with Pakistani women. Come on. Stop all this nonsense, please. Anyway, the UP ATS is going to interrogate her, is interrogating her, will further interrogate her, and Pakistani suddenly asked for consular access. Now, in case of Kulbhushan Jadhav, this quote-unquote, so-called Indian super spy, that the Pakistani said, no, this is the guy who's responsible for all the bomb blasts which are happening in the country, all the terror attacks that have happened in Pakistan, everything wrong, including floods, including earthquake, including a rise in the prices of tomatoes and onions. Everything has been done by Kulbhushan Jadhav. And the Pakistanis, as usual, congratulated themselves and said, well done, we have caught an Indian spy. The truth is that this guy, Kulbhushan Jadhav, was in Iran, near Chabahar. He was trading there. He was kidnapped. And those kidnappers, when the Pakistanis came to know that a bunch of kidnappers have an Indian former naval officer there, they thought this is a good idea. You know, so they paid money. They bought Kulbhushan Jadhav after paying money and through the Balochistan route, because remember, Balochistan is partially in Iran and partially in Pakistan. So they got that here, right? They got Kulbhushan Jadhav here and then they beat a confession out of him. They beat a confession out of Kulbhushan Jadhav and they pumped him full of drugs, they pumped him full of chemicals, they tortured him, and to stop the pain, Kulbhushan Jadhav said, okay, if you want me to say I'm an Indian spy, I'll say I'm an Indian spy. Because a person will say anything to stop the pain. It's very simple, you know. If a person gives you pain, physical, deep physical pain, sharp physical pain, and you want that pain to stop, all you have to do is agree with him. and the pain will stop. And this is exactly what Kulbhushan Jadhav did. Now, the Pakistanis will never tell you because they said that we have caught the spy who was responsible and we have busted the quote-unquote biggest Indian terrorist ring in Pakistan. You know how these Pakistanis are, right? They don't need logic, they don't need data. All they have to do is go on television and tell lies. So which the Pakistanis did. Now, what happened was that Kulbhushan Jadhav, they've kept for so many years under their custody. They're torturing him, pumping him with chemicals and acid. But the attacks on Pakistan are still going on. First, they celebrated the so-called quote-unquote capture of Kulbhushan Jadhav. All right. Then they said, okay, the Indians now, the Taliban have taken over. These are our Muslim brethren. These are Muslim brothers. And we have achieved strategic depth. And all these Pakistani TV anchors, they're very fond of talking about strategic depth without understanding what it really means. Very few of them, there are Pakistani anchors, very few of them, who actually understand these concepts, right? So you'll have guys like Mohit Pirzada, who will understand strategic depth. You'll have guys like Wajahat Khan, who will understand the concept of strategic depth. Conceptually, they understand. But the rest of them don't, yeah. They just keep on saying strategic depth without understanding what it really means. So there are very few Pakistani commentators who will actually understand what strategic depth is, right? And we have achieved strategic depth, and congratulations. One PTI spokesperson, that lady, actually said that now the Taliban are going to help us take over Kashmir. So the Indian consulate shut down. They said India has 23 consulates in Afghanistan. India had 4, but they said no, India has 20. They added 20 by themselves, right? And they said that India has so many consulates. Fine, done. Indian embassy shut down. Everybody leaves. Everything is khali. Everything is empty. Indians gone. Then, if the Indians have left and your brother Islamic Taliban are now in absolute power, the Northern Alliance has been thrown out and they are now living in Tajikistan. And Taliban controls Afghanistan absolutely fully, right? And nobody can say no to the Taliban because the Taliban are not democratic. You say no to the Taliban, they'll kill you. That is the kind of hold that the Taliban have on Afghanistan. Then how are terror attacks emanating from Afghanistan? And okay, let's say the Taliban is not a classical government structure with classical institutions, right? Which would be present in India or China or America or some other country like that. Let's say they are not, because they also have challenges in terms of financials and in terms of actually having a knack for governance, because they have a separate model altogether. My question to the Pakistanis is this: has the Taliban, they may not have money, but how much does it cost to condemn the TTP? How much does it cost? Why can't the Taliban spokesperson come on national television and say that they might be operating from our soil, we don't know? He could have said that. And I would ask Pakistan to at least get that statement out, because they are your Muslim brothers. And it was your Faiz Hamid who went to offer namaz along with them in Kandahar. And he had tea in Pearl Continental or whichever hotel that is, Serena, or I don't know what is the name of the hotel, I don't remember, in Kabul. That 2-story whitish structure, if I remember correctly. Now, I just want to ask, Faiz Hamid went and he had tea with them there and he was speaking to that lady from the BBC. All attitude. Now we have come here, typical Pakistani bombast, which leads to nothing absolutely, right? So my question is simple, yeah. My question is simple. Now the Indian embassy is shut down, the Indian consulates have shut down, you have Kulbhushan Jadhav. Why can't the Afghan Taliban simply say that we are unable to stop the TTP? They may or may not be operating from Afghan territory, but we condemn them and we say that the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan are terrorists. Can you get a statement out like that from the Taliban? Just to say that we may not be able to stop them, yeah, because we don't have those classical institutions in place. But we agree that the Tehreek-e-Taliban Pakistan are a terrorist organization. Will the Taliban do that? And why not? After all, they are your Muslim brothers. After all, there are decades and decades of bonding. What happened? The Indians are out. Kulbhushan Jadhav is in jail. Why can't you do this? Think about it, Pakistanis. Think about it. And then you'll know that your foreign policy and your entire national security framework is an absolute sham. So ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this video. If you like this video, press like, subscribe to our channel and don't forget to press the bell icon. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram, Bharat Mata Ki Jai.